How do you do, ladies and gentlemen?
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen?
That's an echo.
That's an echo.
These panels behind me are arranged in such a pattern as to create an echo chamber. I think we are all familiar with this natural phenomenon, the reflection of sound waves. The reflection of radio waves, or the electronic echo, is the basic principle of this instrument called radar. Beams of electromagnetic waves are sent out by this instrument to locate invisible objects. Now here is a target. Now watch. The electronic echo reflected from the target registers on this scope, detecting unfriendly planes or guided missiles which attempt to invade our skies. The heart of this instrument is the magnetron. Electrons are emitted from this tube when in operation. The invisible electrons carry energy. The waves can be focused in any direction. I'm placing this lamp in the path of the electrons. You can see the lamp has no connection with wires or an electric circuit. Amazing, isn't it? A beam like this can explode a bulb. Now, the question is, what can such a beam do to a city? Your city. This is the theme of our story. A tale of fiction from the borderlands of science. An incredible story. It's so incredible, it could happen tomorrow. I'll be back in a moment after a word from our sponsor. On the night of October 21st, a flight of migratory birds crashed into the top floor of the King's Tower building. It happened before. They were victims of progress. If men didn't build skyscrapers, birds wouldn't become confused and fly into them on stormy nights. Dr. Kennedy, an ornithologist from the county museum, was summoned to pick up the injured birds. They were collected from the ledges and rubble. 165 of them dead, 22 still alive. When he inspected the birds closer, he found that 4 of them were bats. Of course, this seemed impossible. It is a well-known scientific fact that bats never bump into anything. A bat navigates with sound echoes. He emits a small high-frequency cry which bounces off his surroundings. That's how he can live in caves, never see light. What happened to these bats? The ornithologist felt that the problem was serious enough to seek the advice of Dr. Osborne, a top man in the field of aerodynamics, an expert on bird navigation.
Yes? Yes, this is Dr. Osborne. What? I never heard of such a thing. Will any of them live? We must find a way to keep at least one of them alive. Well, anything that'll confuse a bat will certainly confuse the navigation of a plane. I want to see those bats right away in my laboratory. Right.
The surviving bat was placed in the care of Dr. Osborne, and during the next few days, one of the leading scientific minds of our time was wholly dedicated to the task of keeping one small red flying mammal alive. It was more than an act of humanity. It was pure scientific necessity. If the bat was to yield the secret of its navigational failure, it had to live.
Well, you must be feeling better. This is the first time I've seen you off the bottom of the cage in days. Come on. Let go. That's right. Hurry up. Let go. Oh, you're a tough fella. Hey, you're going to be a handful. You know, I think you're almost ready for a test flight. Wait a minute. What are you complaining about there? It's really quite becoming. That's right. Let's see now. Come on. All right, young fella. Let's see you give us a lesson in sonar navigation. Yeah.
Hello? Yes, Dr. Osborne. No, I'm never too busy. I'll be right over. When it comes to sonar, we humans are still swinging around in trees.
I agree. Nevertheless, just 2 days ago, the same bat flew head-on into the King Tower building. I was relying on you as a specialist in applied electronics to tell us why. The research board is expecting a report.
No evidence of physical impairment?
No.
And there's only one answer. Something in the vicinity of that building created a high-frequency disturbance that interfered with his sonar signal.
Do you have a high-frequency analyzer in your lab?
Mm-hmm.
Good. We'll pick it up on our way down to the King Tower building. Might give us a clue.
This is a special microphone for picking up high-frequency sounds. We fix it to the wall, and the steel frame of this building is our best sound conductor. It not only amplifies, but translates these sounds into low frequencies so that we can hear them. We'll test it with this dog call.
Seems to be working. Well, we might as well make ourselves comfortable. This could be a long or a short wait. This is about the time of night the bats hit the building. Conditions are about the same.
That's probably a subway train passing underneath the building. That'd be the elevator motor.
By the way, I didn't tell you about Henry. It may be of some importance.
Who's Henry?
The elevator operator. He's a night man. He claims a filling in his wisdom tooth gets red hot once in a while.
I wonder if you'd have him step in here, please. Well, what do you think?
Could be. If the man's inlay is the proper combination of metals, it'll react to ultrasonic vibrations, and the tooth would get hot.
Or it could come from a leaky inlay that kicks up about this time of the night. Because he habitually drinks something hot or eats something he ought not to.
I want to have a look at that tooth. A high-frequency beam can play havoc with a sensitive nerve ending.
You mean, like sympathetic vibration?
May give us a lead.
This is Henry, Dr. Osborne and Dr. Jeffries.
Hello, Henry.
How do you do, Doctor?
How do you do? Glad to know you.
Doctor, are you going to do something about my tooth?
I'm sorry, Henry, but I'm afraid we're not that kind of doctors. But we would like to see the tooth the superintendent told us about.
Oh, sure. It's back there. It's that one.
Huh?
Gold-touching amalgam. Normal acid condition in the mouth.
What do you mean, Doctor?
You're a very fortunate man, Henry. You have a built-in radio receiving set in your mouth.
Radio? Wait a minute. It's starting up again. Oh!
What's registering 40,000 cycles?
40,000? The bat's range of hearing is between 20 and 80,000.
Well, what is it?
I don't know, but I can tell you this much. That bat friend of yours didn't have a chance when he flew into this building.
Perhaps we better send Henry home or at least get him out of the building.
Yes, you go on home, Henry. I'll get Fred to take over.
Let's see what we can pick up on the frequency analyzer. And there it is. But don't ask me what it is.
I was about to...
Wait a minute. Microwave signal. Coming from almost directly over our heads.
Well, what's up there?
Could be a plane with some new navigational device. But no. It's not moving.
The scope indicates a stationary microwave transmitter just directly above our heads.
Wait a minute. We're on the top floor of the tallest building in town. A radio beam can't come from nowhere.
This one is.
You know that's impossible, isn't it?
Everything's impossible until it happens.
What a beam from nowhere.
If this machine is working properly, this beam comes from a stationary point.
Like a platform mounted in space.
You mean a space station? You're only trying to frighten me.
Oh, no, sir, we're not trying to frighten you. This beam is frightening enough. If this beam does come from a hostile space station, we haven't got a prayer of survival.
To the Air Force, whose responsibility it is to keep this nation secure from enemy invasion from the skies, go Dr. Osborne and his associate, Dr. Jeffries, with their report of a mysterious radio signal from outer space. Beginning with a film presentation that dramatized the bat's superior sonar equipment. In this shot, which Dr. Osborne had taken with infrared light, there were 10,000 bats within the narrow confinement of a cave's walls. Quite a traffic jam, but no accidents plagued these master sonar navigators. And now, under attack from a hawk, Dr. Osborne's camera recorded the bat's amazing ability to sense imminent attack and avoid it.
The blinds, Colonel, please.
Right, General.
My point is this, gentlemen. Any radio beam that's strong enough to set up a sympathetic reaction as to render a bat helpless could have the same identical effect on any radar instrument we know of.
Well, I can tell you this much. If the source of your microwave beam is some form of mechanical satellite or space station, it is not ours.
Well, General Kenyon, is it possible our enemies could have built one? They're as advanced in rocket research as we are.
Possible, but unlikely. Central Intelligence is quite familiar with scientific developments within unfriendly countries. However, the beam has to come from somewhere.
Gentlemen, I wonder if we're not overlooking one possibility. I believe the FCC gave permission to various scientific institutions to conduct experiments on certain frequencies. Well, shouldn't we contact someone in that field and
Well,
maybe...
that's an excellent idea.
The next step was to contact Dr. Hugo Milton, the inventor of the radar telescope. His laboratory was less than an hour's drive from the airbase. Dr. Osborne described it to him, the beam they have been receiving.
An interesting phenomenon, gentlemen, a radio beam of this intensity from outer space, but has nothing to do with what we're doing. Step over here. I'll show you what we are doing. Stand there. have a photograph taken with one of our most powerful telescopes. Now, these obscure areas are due to stellar dust. But with our radar telescope, we can probe these areas, map the stars behind the screen of these cosmic clouds.
What about the signals you've been beaming into space with your radar telescope? Could that be what we've been getting?
The echoes we receive are very, very faint. We can identify these signals only when atmospheric conditions are perfect.
Well, then there isn't any precedent for receiving the signals as we described them.
Oh, absolutely none. Even if one of our neighboring planets were exploding, the microwave emissions would be 1/1,000,000th as powerful as the beam you encountered.
Dr. Milton,
Yes, General?
we're not certain this is a natural phenomenon. And what you tell us more or less confirms our thinking. But you and all the other astronomers in the country can help us pin this down once and for all. We must know what we're facing.
You see, our problem is this, Dr. Milton. We feel that this beam has a hostile space station as a source. The beam being used to keep a geographical fix on the Earth.
You want the area of this beam thoroughly explored, is that it?
Correct, if there's anything up there. Anything you can measure, we want to know about it.
Well, gentlemen, all the observatories in this country are in permanent contact by radio teletype. Now, if Dr. Jeffries and Dr. Osborne will give us the exact bearing of this microwave beam, we'll plot it and follow it out to infinity. Then all telescopes in the country can zero in on that sector. If there's anything there, we'll identify it.
By 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll have all the information.
We'll be ready for you. Goodbye, General.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye, Doctor. Thank
Bye.
you very much.
The King Towers building, General Kenyon's office and Dr. Milton's laboratory were hooked together with a direct line of communication. The mystery beam appeared on the amplifier at 2 a.m. as anticipated.
Right on the button. Stand by. The signal's coming in now.
Same reading. 85 degrees. Bearing? 220. True. 85. 220. Check.
No change in the inclination, same bearing.
Just a minute. Put this on the teletype.
We ought to know the answer pretty soon. Every astronomer in the United States, every telescope is on our team.
Thank you. Hello? No, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but my findings are negative.
Are you positive, Doctor?
I'm quite sure. And the reports from the other observatories are also negative. There's nothing where your signals are coming from. Is there any possibility of an error in your calculations?
No, Dr. Milton. We've checked and double-checked. There must be some other physical law that we've overlooked. That's the only answer. No, Dr. Milton. We'll call you in the morning. Bye.
Look at this silly thing. Doesn't have sense enough to know it doesn't exist.
Now, let's go home. It's 5 o'clock already. If I can find a restaurant open, I'll buy you some breakfast.
I wonder how blind we can be.
Blind, just stupid. Here we are searching the universe for some complicated explanation. Forgetting the microwave beam bounces just like that ball.
The key to the location of that transmitter was there all the time. Any kid would know it.
Right? The angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. We better get back to General Kenyon. General Kenyon, Dr. Osborne. Dr. Jeffries and I have an idea about this. Could we come out to your office right away? Now, General, by the scale of this map, this tack represents the ionosphere ceiling of the Earth's atmosphere at exactly the same level, where a microwave of this particular frequency bounces right back to Earth.
This is the 82nd story of the King Tower building. This string represents the microbeam entering the target area at 85 degrees with a true bearing of 220.
That's where it strikes the ionosphere, which to a microwave is as solid as your ceiling, and it bounces back to Earth at an 85-degree angle.
Colonel, will you place that tack when I tell you?
Right here?
Little to the left, please.
Here?
Right there. Johnson Park area.
Let's check our angles again and see if they're all right.
It checks.
There you are, General, the Johnson Park area. I don't know what it is, but there it is.
I don't know of any scientific institute or laboratory in that sector.
And the question is, are they transmitting this beam by accident or on purpose?
We can only guess what its purpose is, but we know what its sonic byproduct did to a bat.
I can imagine what would happen to our radar defenses.
If this beam has the capacity of scrambling the signal on our radar scope, we wouldn't have the slightest chance of stopping an atomic or hydrogen attack. Wouldn't know it was coming until our cities were radioactive rubble.
But why is the beam so localized? Why is it so infrequent?
Well, it could be operating on a new principle of electronics. I don't know who they are, but it's my guess that they're testing out their equipment. But they didn't count on the bat.
Just find out who they are. I'm placing a call to the FBI. Request a search of that whole area.
Good idea, General.
Clear something up for me, will you? If the enemy has this weapon, why aren't they using it?
Because we're not at war.
We weren't at war that Sunday morning at Pearl Harbor.
We're about ready to roll. Los Angeles, Seattle, New Orleans, Savannah, Buffalo. One by one, we are closing the circle.
Within 6 months, we'll be able to operate on every conceivable frequency. It'll confuse every frequency monitor in the country. The Continental Radar Network will never know what hit it.
What happened?
Must be a fuse.
I'll get it.
The fuse box is outside.
Wait a minute. The door's locked. Did you lock it?
Of course not. What's the meaning of all this? What are you men doing here?
Strange as it may seem, I was about to ask you the same question. What are you gentlemen doing here? And don't tell me you're working for Santa Claus in this toy factory. All right, gentlemen, they're yours.
A mechanical toy. A magnetron tube with a system of transistors designed to create havoc with our communication system and our radar defenses.
Must be very popular with the kiddies.
A toy that blew up the world.
Of course, this was a story. It didn't happen. But it could have. But it could have. I'll be back in just a moment after a word from our sponsor. I hope you enjoyed our story. We'll be back with you a week from today with another exciting adventure from the world of fiction and science. Until then, this is your host, Truman Bradley, saying, see you next week.